All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dids in the Dugout. As this turns out, this will be really the final show of Dids in the Dugout. We'll be making our transition to Ole Miss After Dark. After this, we're going to wrap up baseball season first, but we'll get into all that here in just a little bit. Joined once again, good buddy Hitch, as always. Been a real trooper ever since we started this thing. He's on here every single episode with me, so I appreciate his time as always. Hitch, you doing all right today, buddy?
Man, I am doing great. Was able to get out, mow the yard after a good Memorial Day weekend. Saw you over the
Yeah,
weekend, had a good time. Got to do some swimming with
yeah.
the kids. I can't complain, man. Pretty good.
Yeah. That was a pretty good time. But kind of let's dive into this for a second. We're not going to spend just a whole lot of time on it, but the Rebels ended their season in Hoover against Mississippi State in a really hard fought battle. One that I was quite frankly really impressed with overall. What kind of your takeaways from it?
Pitching, man. I mean, on both sides, right? Like as good as Riley Maddox was a week ago now. Um,
Uh-huh.
Brooks Auger was just that much better. I mean, hell, he threw like 77 pitches and 60 something, 66 of them were strikes. I mean, it's just an incredible efficiency. But
Mhm.
we ain't here to talk about Brooks Auger State. Riley Maddox was incredible himself, right?
Was, yeah.
He just, I mean, I really thought that we were going to win that game 1-0 once we got to the
I did too.
to the there to the end, and we just kind of the story of the season, which we'll get to, just couldn't get everything
Yeah.
clicking at once, right? We'll pitch and
Yeah.
then we'll hit, and so that just kind of seemed like that game last Tuesday night. You had just probably maybe outside of Liam Doyle's performance against Tennessee and maybe Mason Nichols against another team. I mean, I would say that Riley Maddox on the first game of the SEC tournament against State was probably up there top 3 pitching performance of the year.
Yeah, he was incredible, and with the way college baseball works, on short rest on top of that, right?
Oh
It was a
man, yeah,
5 day rest for him.
yeah.
But he came out, he was absolutely
Hey,
insane.
and
7 innings,
I'll
3 hits,
say
no earns.
I'll say this before I interrupt you right before you get started, because I will say I
Yeah,
can't remember if I tweeted this out or if I said it on here, if it was just me and you talking. I was wrong. Like I was like, let's don't throw Riley Maddox only on 4 days of rest. Let's give him that extra day's rest. And
mhm.
hey, look, I'm the type of person, I will let you know when I'm right. I promise you that. But I will also come back and say I was wrong about this. I mean, because anybody else on the mound, I don't know if they have that kind of performance. He looked really well. Sorry, go ahead, Diz.
No, you're good. I was just going through his stat line because it's incredible every time I look at it. 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned, no walks, 7 strikeouts.
That's the
Had a
big
one
number
nothing
right
lead
there.
going. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
It is
impressive
for him,
number. I
right?
mean, he doesn't really strike a lot of guys out, but he still had
Hey,
nine. He
he
still
had it
had 9 ground
working last
outs.
Tuesday. Yeah, that's the thing. He had everything working for him there. And look, I know y'all don't tune into this to hear about a baseball game that happened a week ago. We had some logistical problems, but I think it's important that we hit on it because there were so many interesting things that happened in this game. Really, from a pitching standpoint, Riley Maddox. Now, we kind of talked about this as it was going on during the game, Hitch. You go from Riley Maddox. I thought we pulled him at a good time. Some people didn't really like the timing of it. If I'm remembering right, he come out and give up a hit in the 8th inning. Isn't that right? So I had a
I think
runner
so.
on and enters lead all. I love this move by Mike Bianco. It's do or die time. He goes with his best arm, brings him in, and look, Liam was electric, right? Wasn't there
Yeah.
like bases loaded at one point in that 8th inning that he ends up pitching out of? Bases loaded, one
Uh,
out, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe first and second, one out, something like that. Uh, but
yeah, it was
I
first and
thought,
second.
yeah, first and second. Okay. Ends up pitching out of it, getting to the 9th inning, and then walk, home run. Am I remembering that right? Do you remember?
It was. I'm looking at it right now. It
That's what
was
I think.
absolutely a walk. Mershon walked, and then
Yeah,
Who's Jack hit a home run.
a bomb.
But
Two
but
outs,
but
too.
but I mean,
That's it.
what made it so crazy is that he walked Mershon, came back and absolutely shoved it to Dakota Jordan
Yep.
and just said, let's go sit down. And then Hines comes up, Furness makes an incredible play, gets the out, and then the very first pitch, and it wasn't a bad pitch. It was down in the zone, and it was, in and who's Jack, just or however you say his stupid name. He put a good swing on it, and that was it. I mean, as soon as he hit it, like you could, it was gone, no doubt. Yeah. It was tough, but that game was fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching. I enjoyed watching this game, even though we lost. More than I enjoyed watching some of the other games throughout the season.
Oh yeah, the majority of the games even. Again, let's see. Furness hits a home run, obviously, on top of the great defensive play that he makes. That's the lone run the Rebels had back in the 5th inning with the solo shot to center field. And by the time it's all said and done, that ends up wrapping up the Rebel season. We finished below 500, obviously not eligible for the the NCAA tournament. Just really kind of crumbled down the stretch there, which kind of was really fitting for the way this season went. There were so many times that it felt like we had turned a corner. We had that really slow start at the very beginning of the year, and then we go on this big run. Win, what was it, like 10 out of 11 or something like that in non-con. Really got things rolling. Win the first series against South Carolina. You're 2-1 in SEC play. Then you go to Knoxville and do exactly what you're supposed to do. You go find one game, win 1 out of 3 there. And then from there, it just seemed like catch up the rest of the year, right? You started dropping games that you didn't need to drop. And then by the end of it, you're having to scramble to find wins. Really disappointing. As a whole here, Hitch, I've got my theory on this, but as a whole, what went wrong this season for Ole Miss baseball?
I mean, the numbers tell the story. I'm an analytics spreadsheet guy when I can. But I didn't even have to do that, right? Like, I mean, you just pull up the SEC website, and we are 13th in batting average, 13th in slugging, 13th in on base percentage. We're 13th in almost every offensive category except for home runs. We're 11th. Walks, we're 6th. I mean, imagine that. And then we're right in the middle of the pack. Strikeouts, but it's the same thing on the other side too, right? Pitching ERA, we're 12th. Batting average against, we're 11th. Strikeouts, we're 11th, right? If it weren't for Missouri, we'd be awful. If it weren't for Missouri, we'd be at the bottom, of every category. And you said it just a second ago without saying it. My big takeaway from the year is that inconsistency, right? Like you said it. We started out kind of slow. We got on a roll. Man, when we come out and we punched South Carolina in the face those first 2 games, we were at the cabin, right, watching it. And man, we were fired up, and then we went and Liam Doyle did what he did in Tennessee, and then from that Sunday at Tennessee, when we got beat that Sunday, it was just who knows what team's going to step on the field. Just inconsistency and defense. Defense was the thing we talked about the most, and probably without all of the passed balls, our errors aren't as many. Let's see, I think we ended up with 66 errors on the year, first in the SEC on the wrong side of that, and our fielding percentage was 83%.
Large
right?
margin.
And it just wasn't great. So, asking me the thoughts on the season, kind of what happened, we just were inconsistent, and the defense let us down, right? That was the only thing that was consistent, was that the defense continued to let us down. What are your thoughts?
Well, okay. So first of all, a lot of what you just said, defense was absolutely horrendous. You're not going to win games in this league giving away that many outs. And look, we are spoiled as a fan base here at Ole Miss. We expect greatness behind the plate. We've had it for 23 years before this season happened. And then it seemed like all 23 years of what could have been at catcher came together in one single year for us. A lot of teams deal with inconsistencies back there, and and bad play defensively. We've never had to deal with it until right now, and maybe that makes it a, bigger talking point. Go ahead.
21. We had 21 pass balls.
21
Guess who
pass
the
balls.
next? Guess who the next closest one was?
Somebody with 11.
12. State. State had 12.
Okay, see, that's not good. Not good. But yeah, that's something we're not used to here in Knoxville. We've always had really good defensive catchers. Really, as a whole, we're usually a pretty good defensive team all around the diamond, particularly up the middle. That's one thing me and you talked
Yeah.
about, right? And
Mhm.
we just didn't have it this year. Going for whoever was playing catcher up through Luke Hill, Braden Randall, Ethan Groff. I thought Luke Hill really performed well when we got him over to second base, got the bat
Mhm.
going, played a lot better defensively. And to his credit, when he got moved back to shortstop, I think he played a lot better defensively when he got moved back there. There was, probably some mental stuff going on there when they all piled up there at once on him. He was able to settle down. I thought he
Yeah.
played really well from the transition to second base and even back to shortstop again after that. Groff made a lot of great plays, right? How
Sure
many diving
did.
catches, robbing, potential home runs at the wall. But then you would have little things like, was it the state game or was it one of the LSU games? The cue shot into center field that just gets under his
Yeah.
glove, right? Those
Yeah. It
those
just.
are plays that you absolutely have to make. So stuff like that's what killed him in center field. But as a whole, I don't guess you can be too hard on Ethan Groff because how many great plays he did end up making.
Yeah, I mean, he made some incredible plays out there, but it just goes to and save some runs, right? That's what is the
Yeah,
big thing about those plays is that they came in time to save some runs, but you know, there are a couple of times that he gave runs back because it was an LSU's you're talking about. It's that ball. I
yeah,
think it was a Saturday game after the rain Friday night, and that ball hit, and he just kind of lackadaisically, went forward. It cued, probably a little wet, ball ground a little
yeah,
soft, and the ball just got away from him. So what does that do? Instead of a single, now it's a double. The
yep,
next hitter, there's two outs. Next hitter, base hit. That guy don't score from first, but he does score from second. And
yeah.
it's
Uh-huh.
it's the little. You hear people talk all the time in baseball. It's the little things, right? That's a perfect
It's
example of a little
it's
thing.
it's more true in baseball than any other sport. You hear it in every sport, basketball, football, and everything, but it really rears its ugly head in baseball more than any of the big
Mm-hmm.
three sports there. That's why you got to be so sound defensively. Look, I'm
Well,
not
but
one to
and it's
credit Mississippi State with really anything, but that's one reason that they're in the position that they're at right now. They played really, really good defense all year long. They didn't give away those outs. They didn't give away extra bases. And you look up and they have what 16, 17 SEC wins, something like that. But going back to what else I think went wrong this year, getting off the defense for a minute, we really lacked that front end Friday night guy. That's not a slight at Riley Maddox. He pitched incredible since he got into that role. Uh, he is a really good Saturday or Sunday starter. Same thing with Liam Doyle. Now, Liam, with his stuff, I think has an opportunity to grow into a dominant Friday night guy. The fastball is incredible most
yeah,
days, right? We actually talked about it Sunday when you were over here. It's got that high spin rate. It's not gonna, blow up a radar gun or anything. Yeah, he can get it up to 94, 95 when he needs to. So, but most time he's gonna sit 92, 93 and touch 94, 95, something like that. But when he works that thing up in the zone with the high spin rate, it plays so much harder than that. That's one
yeah,
thing I felt we really lacked going up against the Hagen Smiths, the Gage Jumps. I mean, that kid really impressed me against LSU, man. It's one reason I love LSU's chances, which we'll get into some regional stuff a little bit later. I love the top of their rotation with him and Holloman,
mhm.
and then the lineup too. Obviously, they can hit, but look, we had
Yeah.
inconsistencies pitching the ball, we had inconsistencies hitting the ball, had inconsistencies in the bullpen, and when you throw all of that together, quite frankly, you come out with an 11-19 record that looks like you kind of overachieved a little bit.
Yeah, but just to kind of continue your point there with Gage Jump, another thing that I don't want to say what went wrong but maybe what happened in this season kind of played into our losing record and not making the postseason for the second year in a row. It's very difficult schedule, right? I mean, we talked about that a lot.
Number 2 in the country.
We played 5 of the top 8 national seeds, and then we played 11 total postseason teams. It was an incredibly difficult schedule, and but I think really when you look at the personnel and the transfer portal, when you've got Tennessee bringing in guys like Billy Amick, Texas A&M bringing in Braden Montgomery, LSU bringing in Gage Jump. That's what made me think of this. Gage Jump, Luke Hallman, all of these guys. And look, I'm going to say this. I don't mean anything by it. I like all these kids, but there's nobody on our team who are these guys. Andrew Fisher, maybe he'll turn into that, right? I mean, he's a sophomore. But I think that the way that we attacked the transfer portal probably had something to do with how we've been down the past couple of years. Now, having said that, I don't necessarily disagree with how we've attacked the transfer portal right now, right? Because when you look at it, we didn't get Billy Amick, we didn't get Braden Montgomery, we didn't get these guys, but what we did get were a bunch of young guys, right? You've got to remember, Andrew Fisher's a sophomore, Liam Doyle's a sophomore, I think Kyler Carmack's a sophomore, Luke Hill is a sophomore, Trayson Hughes is a junior, got an extra year of eligibility left, right? And so I think, whether it was the right move or not, I think the way that Mike was looking at it is, let's hopefully get some of these young guys that in the transfer portal, because all the big guys are going to other places. Let's get some of these young guys in here so that we can develop them and have them their junior year, right? Next year, you've got Furness that's a junior, Fisher that's a junior, Doyle that's a junior. You've got all of these guys who are going to be juniors that have had 3 years of Division I collegiate baseball. I hate that we had to go through the pain, right, of 2 years down to get to maybe that, but I can handle that if that's what we were doing. I don't hate the decision.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought it up. That's exactly where I was going. We attacked the transfer portal in a way last year that we had to, because we basically had to rebuild an entire roster. Now, some of that is going back and saying, look, you didn't get the high school kids in here, or some of them haven't developed like you thought they would to play bigger roles. So you had to go out and you had to get Trayson Hughes, Luke Hill, Andrew Fisher. Same with Liam Doyle and Kyler Carmack. I know he didn't pitch a lot this year, but if he ends up coming back next year, then you trust your development because the stuff is there. The tools are there with these hitters. That's why I didn't mind it so much, because you have the opportunity to run it back with these guys again. They didn't look for 1-year rentals outside of potentially Trayson Hughes. I don't know if he's coming back or not. I haven't heard anything on that.
He should.
I think this, yeah. I mean, look, Trayson Hughes is going to have suitors in the major league draft, just from a tool standpoint, the way he plays defense, and quite frankly, even though it didn't transition this year, still the way he swings the bat. From a tool standpoint, you can look at it and say a major league team, and it only takes one of them, would be more than happy to have him in the system, working with their guys and start developing him. Good runner, good speed. So wouldn't shock me at all if that's the route Trayson ended up taking. Obviously, personally, selfishly, I'm hoping Trayson comes back. He would start in center field from day one for us next year. So hopefully that's the case. But again, they went and got guys that are going to be here, hopefully, for more than 1 year. Now, also the caveat with this is they're not locked into Ole Miss for another year with the way that transfers work now. You can transfer however many times you want to throughout your college career. So I'm not going to sit here and say anybody for sure is back, but I do expect Luke Hill, Liam Doyle, Andrew Fisher, Will Furness. I expect all of those guys back. Campbell Smithwick's another guy. And I think the big thing with Campbell is, even if you don't play him at catcher, if he doesn't develop to a point to where he can play catcher, you are in serious need of outfield help, and he's already shown you as a true freshman that he can play a corner outfield spot in the SEC. And the bat is obviously going to play in this league as well. So I think we're going to have him back as well. So you've got more of a foundation this
Well,
year than you had last year when you go into the portal, which theoretically means you can go and target fewer guys, but more high level guys on top of that. First things first, I think you've got to go find a Friday night stud out of the
well,
portal.
hang
You
on.
got to go
Yeah,
find a guy so you can
let's
have
get there.
Cole and hopefully Maddox after that.
Let's get there. But I think you just perfectly segued into let's talk about, unless there's something else that you want to say about maybe what went wrong before we get to how we fix it. Right? What about let's talk about who's leaving. But before, yeah, let's do that. Never mind. But not before. We know Mallets is leaving. Right? He's announced.
Yep.
Yeah, and as up and down as he was this year, you and I can both agree that that's a big loss.
Yep.
Outside of Mallets, I don't know if there's anybody of consequence that's a senior that's leaving besides Leger, right? You got Leger's gone, Groff is gone, and Morrell is gone. Those guys. I said not of consequence, and then I immediately thought that was the dumbest thing you could say because you're not through naming names. Yeah. So sorry, forgive me. I corrected it on the show. No need for the comments to tell me how bad I screwed up.
That's right.
But you got Mallets, Leger, Groff, Morrell. Those guys are seniors. Jackson Ross as well. In Burford. As I went through the list to look at the seniors, so we know those guys are probably gone. Connor Spencer's a senior, but he's got that little asterisk by his name. He has the COVID year, I guess, because he still has 1 year of eligibility that I saw.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if he came back, but he does have that.
That would
1 year.
Be a big boost.
Yeah. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about players who might be leaving, other than the ones that we know, is I think that not saying it's going to happen, not saying that I want it to happen. But I do think that there's a possibility of some of these guys that we talked about who transfer out. And Campbell Smithwick was at the top of my list of guys who may not have been quite as successful as they thought they would be in the SEC their first year, especially struggle behind the plate. And I'll say this, if Campbell Smithwick wants to catch, he has to transfer. I don't know that you can trust him behind the plate. Unless he does something, I don't want him to transfer, but I do think his bat plays in the SEC. Like you said, he struggled.
100%.
He struggled a little bit at first, right? But then it's almost like maybe it was a midweek game or something. He hit a bomb, a big bomb, like his first bomb, and it's almost like it's like that was a moment for him to where he started seeing the ball better, and he didn't try to kill everything and pull it, right. He hit a lot of balls the opposite way, and which was good to see. Now I agreed with almost everything that you said about he's proven that he can play a corner outfield position in the SEC. If memory serves me correctly, he got toasted a couple of times out there in right field. So I don't know if I trust him. I don't know if I trust him in the outfield. And so the reason that I say he might transfer is because if he can't catch, if he can't play in the outfield, the only spot for him is DH. I mean, you got Andrew Fisher, Judd Udemart, Will Furness. You've got these guys who are going to be competing for that night in and night out. I don't know if Campbell Smithwick is there with them. Like I said, I hope he doesn't transfer. I think the possibility is there, though.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and address some of that. First of all, people believe around the baseball program and not just around the Ole Miss program, but baseball scouts, people that do this for a living, still believe that he can and will be an elite defensive catcher. They think he has all the tools, that he got in his head a little bit with all the errors, and it just really spiraled. But even if not, you have to rebuild basically an entire outfield right now if Trayson Hughes doesn't come back, because Groff is gone for sure and Leger's gone for sure. Mm-hmm. Those two are gone. If Trayson Hughes doesn't come back, you've got to replace all three. Campbell Smithwick would be better than I would dare say anybody you could go get and put out in left field. Okay, he doesn't have to play right, but you can hide him out there in left field if he's not able to perform defensively out there in right or at catcher. The bat is there. The bat is going to
Mhm.
play in this league. You cannot, where Ole Miss is at now, let an SEC bat walk out of your building. You do everything you can
Sure.
to keep him inside this program in that lineup. He's going to be an everyday player for us somewhere on the diamond. And I don't think it will be DH. I don't know what we're going to do there, but kind of running through it real quick. You mentioned Will Furnace. He was a godsend defensively at
Hmm.
first base
A
for us
hundred
this year.
percent.
He is going to play first base for us. You stick him back over there, boom. That's something off the checklist. You don't have to worry about that in the portal. Andrew Fisher is fine at third base.
Hmm.
And guys are allowed to get better, right? I don't think he was so bad that you can't put him back over there. He's going to improve. You have him at third base. Check that
I
off.
was
You don't
actually
need that
I, I
info.
was actually surprised throughout the year that he didn't play third base as much as he did. To me, it didn't
Yeah.
seem like he made that many errors to where Udemark had to play
Thought he
third.
was
You know,
I thought he was really, really good on the bare hands, the short hop, stuff like that. Really difficult plays,
yeah.
where
Well,
his
that's usually how it
errors
is at third
came.
base, right? You can't think about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I mean, when I played third base, I played as close as I could, so I didn't have to think about it. It's
Uh-huh.
all reaction time, and
It's all
you know,
instinct, right? Yeah. But where he struggled, don't have the numbers in front of him. Maybe that's something we should look up. But I would say that the majority of his errors came from throwing the ball to first base. Had a lot of short hops, off target throws, stuff like that. That's kind of stuff that can be fixed in an off season, especially a guy as good as Andrew Fisher. So not writing him off at third base, but boom, there's another one covered. Check that off. You don't have to go get that in the
Mhm.
transfer portal. Figure out where you're going to play Luke Hill, whether it be second or shortstop. I don't care. I'm comfortable with
Okay.
him anywhere now.
Well,
But
he's another
again,
one
an
I've
SEC
got written
bat
down.
you can't get that's another SEC bat you can't let out of that building. The guy is going to hit in the SEC. So bring him back, second
You
shortstop,
don't think
whatever
there's
it
a
is,
chance?
and you figure it
You
out.
don't think there's a chance he leaves? The
There's
only reason I had him
there's a
written
chance
down,
everybody leaves.
yeah.
There's a chance
The only
everybody leaves. I will never speak in certainties about players in this
true,
era of college athletics. I'm not
yeah,
tying my name to that, right? But if
yeah.
you made me guess, yes, I think he is back. And if
Me
you made me
too.
put a percentage on it, I think it's 90%. I mean, I
In
think
the
it's a great
90s for
chance that he's
sure.
back. Yeah.
This is a fun exercise to talk about these kids and where they might. The only reason I have Luke Hill written down is because all of the stuff at the beginning of the year, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody getting on him about the text messages and things, and him being like, "Look,
Yeah. Well, that
I
shit's
can hit.
ridiculous anyway.
I showed y'all I can hit.
I
I'm
don't
not staying
care.
here and having y'all, be like that. I hope he does it right because I love the way Luke Hill plays, and
I do too.
he is my leadoff hitter. I've
Yes.
got Trayson
Every.
Hughes written down. I've got Trayson
Mhm.
Hughes written down. Again, I don't think he transfers. I think he likes it here. I think if anything, he goes, to the
He
draft.
goes pro.
But
Yeah.
but you've got a kid with a skill set like his who has a down year in the SEC. I don't know. Go somewhere else like App State, hit a bunch of bombs. I don't know. And it may impress your draft
That was a
stock.
totally random school, wasn't it? That wasn't based off of anything at all.
Don't give me all that crap about Banks Tolly getting a base
I
home run.
know, man. I know.
He's been on campus for 4 years. If he could hit home runs like that in the SEC, he would have been playing. So give it, whatever.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last one I've got written down is another freshman here. We don't talk about him much. And
Okay.
Braden Randall.
Yeah.
He's a kid that we saw sparingly. Didn't see a lot of him. I think he came in with a little bit of hype, a little bit undersized, and I
Mhm.
hope that I hope that he stays and continues to grow. But kind of from what I saw, I don't know if his bat or his glove plays in the SEC.
I think his glove plays in the SEC.
Second base.
I think it's better at second base. Remember, Randall was a guy that really stabilized shortstop for us when Luke Hill was going through those struggles. He played
Yeah.
really, really well there for a stretch. Yeah, he started having some troubles. I think some of that, though, goes back to the plate. It's really difficult for players not to carry struggles at the plate out into the field with them. Look,
Oh yeah,
quite frankly, it's why
vice
I'm
versa.
such a huge yeah, it's why I'm such a big Tracy Hughes fan, right? But because
Mhm.
he struggled the very beginning of the year, went on a bit of a heater, struggled again at the end. But from day one until that Tuesday night in Hoover, man, that dude played defense in right field, and he
Yeah,
was
oh
the best
sure.
defender every single time he was out there. That's why I'm such a big fan of him. Randall, I think the glove plays in the SEC. I'm worried we have a Peyton Chatagnier 2.0 on our hands, a guy that,
Hang
let's say you
on
put
now.
Randall at
Hang on
second,
now.
but no, Hitch. Put him at second base. If you put him at second, he's a really good defender at that point. Had to make
And
just as
any
quick because
offense
he
is a
has pretty good
positive, right?
range.
Any offense is the bonus at
Exactly.
that point.
Exactly.
Sure.
And
Okay,
that's
yeah.
kind of how Peyton was throughout his career. And look, we don't win a national championship without Peyton Chatagnier. He had the hottest stretch of his entire damn life
He's
from
just
the
hot in
from the
general, dude. He's got the
regionals
hottest of
all the
everything.
way through. I mean, sure, I don't know. I don't have nothing to do with that. But that I think that may
Okay.
be what we're dealing with. Hopefully, he is able to break out of it offensively and start swinging the bat a little bit better. He's a guy I want to stay on campus, though. I don't want to lose him because for a team that struggles as much
Sure.
defensively, it would be hard to let that walk out the
Yeah.
building as well.
I don't want to
And
lose
again,
any of these
true
guys.
freshman.
Yeah. I don't want to lose
Yeah,
any
no,
of
no,
these
I don't
guys.
either.
It's just as I was
Mm-mm.
thinking through what we would talk about on the show, and I knew it was going to be
Yeah.
a recap. I thought, well, here's some guys that may leave. Um,
Hmm.
so again, you're ahead.
Okay. Okay.
You're
Wait a minute.
segue.
Before you
Okay,
do
go ahead.
that, the number one guy on my list that if you told me somebody was transferring, which he's already come back and said that he's coming back to Oxford next year, so it's off the table. But the number one guy I was worried about was Andrew Fisher, right? I mean,
Really?
he
Yeah.
steps in as a sophomore and hits 20 bombs. If you don't think there would be a market for Andrew Fisher
Oh,
in the transfer portal, out of
yeah.
your
Well,
mind.
I
Now,
mean,
he's
well, that's
obviously
what I
squashed
said.
that saying he's coming back, but
Mhm.
that was
The
the
reason I
one as
don't,
the
and
season ended that I was worried about.
that's the reason I don't have him written down, right? As I was thinking about this
Yeah.
after he had already, said that. But yeah, it's like I said earlier when I was talking about all of the players that the other schools got in the transfer portal. And we didn't get any of those players. Maybe Andrew Fisher, right? Andrew Fisher is the one guy this year. I'm not saying that the one guy, none of the other guys can compete or won't compete, but Andrew Fisher was the
Mhm.
one SEC player that we consistently that we got in the transfer portal this year.
Yeah.
But I keep wanting to say we attacked it to get these young guys, and we really
Yeah.
we can't judge their performance really until they get another year of
Mhm.
development underneath them, man. Because when they're juniors,
You
it's going to be they're going to be pretty good, I think.
well, you can't judge what the transfer class looks like until their career at Ole Miss is done. Now,
Sure.
whether that means they transfer this year to another school or they play out their eligibility and go pro, but you can't. I mean, look, would it shock you if next year comes around and you look up and Andrew Fisher's hit, 305 with 25 home runs, and then Luke Hill hits 310 with 10 to 12 home
8, 10,
runs.
yeah.
Uh, Yeah, and then who's another? And then Liam Dole comes back and he's
It's
a
Friday night
dominant
guy.
Saturday guy,
Saturday guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
or even a Friday guy. But
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
you can't judge it until it's all over with, though. So that's
Oh,
why I'm not going to be doing that at this particular moment. I like all those guys and think they have enough upside to where there's no way you can let them leave your program.
okay. Well, so just segueing into kind of what you were talking about a little bit earlier is we're almost to how we fix it, right? You were
Hmm.
talking about needs. Friday night guy, right? That's your big
Yeah,
thing we
yeah,
got to
it's
go get.
it's number one. You do not take a transfer. You don't pay for a transfer. You don't spend any of your NIL money until you have a Friday night guy under contract for the University of Mississippi. Priority one. Sure, go out and recruit these other guys. If Trayson's not coming back, you got to have a center fielder. Regardless if he comes back, you have to have a right fielder. Bare minimum, you've got to have one outfielder, possibly two, that's going to end up playing in this league. And that also depends what you think about Judd Udermark, right? Udermark would be a fine right fielder. The thing with Judd, I don't think you can let him go anywhere because there is nobody on this planet that you're going to go get out of the transfer portal or out of a high school class that is going to make harder contact than Judd does.
Well, his
Now
ceiling,
it's a
right? I
matter.
mean, everybody, yeah.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you look
It's
at when you
I
look
mean,
at his ceiling, it's
it's
everybody
all
else's floor.
SEC.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
his ceiling is everybody else's floor. Yeah.
Yeah, and then his floor is everybody else's basement, right? I
Yeah,
mean, it,
I
it, it
mean,
can
he's got
go in
all
those
potential.
directions with him. But the way he hits the ball, you can't give up on him because you saw it so many times this year. If he can, and it's mainly the slider, right? I don't even think it's being able to make contact with the slider. I think it's being able to recognize it out of his hand. I think
Hundred
that's where he
percent.
had so much trouble. He was mixing up slider and fastball so many times out of the hand and speeding the swing up or slowing it down, one of the two. Based off of that, if he can get his pitch recognition down, he's a guy that can hit 30 bombs in this league if he makes
Oh
consistent
yeah,
enough contact.
yeah. I think so. I don't have Friday night top of the line starter written down as needs. I think that guy's already
Well,
on
you
the
should.
staff. I think the guy's already on the staff. I think it's either Liam Doyle or hot take. I think we stretch Wes Mendez out and make him a starter and make him be either Friday or Saturday guy. As easily as he
Yeah.
throws his fastball, he's got a three pitch mix. He throws everything for strikes. He's got all of the confidence right after the way that he finished the year. Going into fall, summer and fall, I wouldn't be surprised to see him stretch out and become a frontline guy with him and Doyle going Friday and Saturday, and then Mason Nichols on Sunday if he comes back.
All right, so the problem with that, I have no issues with whatsoever. I love Wes Mendez. I think he is going to be a dominant starter by the time his time at Ole Miss is over with. First of all, you need an answer from Riley Maddox. What is he doing? If Riley Maddox is coming back, he's in your rotation. Period. No questions asked. Liam Doyle, he's in your rotation. Period. No questions asked. What you can't do is hope somebody develops into a Friday night starter.
Sure.
You've got to know the guy is on the roster. We tried that this
point.
year. We thought we were developing our Friday night guy. It just didn't end up coming to fruition, right? You've got to know for a fact that Friday nights are taken care of. You don't have to worry about that by the time next season starts. And if you go get a Friday night guy and Riley Maddox comes back, well, my God, Hitch, now you're looking at 2 rotation spots for Liam Doyle, Riley Maddox, possibly Mason Nichols, even though I'm sure he'll go back to the bullpen because you're going to have a need there next year for a dominant, potentially multi-inning bullpen arm, and that's where Mason Nichols would fit really well. Hell, it's really
he may get drafted.
That,
Mason, I mean,
he
Nichols might get drafted.
Yeah. He could. I don't know if he's coming back or not. But quite frankly, Riley Maddox could fit that role. He started out in the bullpen, already stretched out to a starter. He'd go back and be a multi-inning guy if he comes back. And then Wes Mendez, that gives you another option there at the tail end of your rotation. If you wanted to start giving him some starts as a sophomore, getting him ready for his junior year. But I 100% agree. I think Wes, by the time his career at Ole Miss is all said and done, he is a Friday night guy. I love his arm. I love his attitude on the mound and the way he attacks guys. Really, really excited to see how that plays out. I think another part of this is Grayson Saunier. I think you stick him at midweek and you don't worry about a midweek non-conference game the rest of the year, right? He showed he can do it. He did it his freshman year. He did it last year. Go ahead and just stick him there if you're able to get enough pitching depth to get you through the weekend. And I think you're set up pretty well, but it all goes back to getting that Friday night guy.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it's a good point. you know me, I'm always a gambler, risk taker, right? When it comes to this type of thing, and you're the voice of reason. I'm like, no, man, don't go get that Friday night starter. We got 2 on the roster. We'll just use them. No, good point. Yeah. Good point. Let me pump the brakes here. What I do have written down is shortstop. You've already said it, and that's why I stopped you, and I wanted to wait until we got here, because, man, when you think about Ole Miss, you think Cozart, right? Jacob Gonzalez, great tester.
Yeah.
I mean, and you talked about it earlier.
Anthony even though it was only for a few months, but he was great,
Yeah. It's
Errol
up the
Robinson.
middle.
I mean, it goes on and on and on and on.
Austin up the Anderson. Middle, we really, really struggled. And for me, when you look at that position, like that's, and maybe it's changed, I don't know, but in my day, that was the captain of the team. That was the guy that the captain of the defense, I should say, right? He's going to be your most athletic, best defender, going to be able to make the plays. And this year we didn't have a guy that could do that. Also, I think you absolutely have to fix catcher, right? And I have hard data to back that up, right? I can think of at least 2 games, maybe 3, that we lost because of wild pitches. Literally, not that a wild pitch. Not a wild pitch happened in the 3rd inning and 2 runs scored and we didn't score again. No, I mean in the 9th inning we lost on wild pitches. You flip those, right? We're winning those games. You flip those. We're 29-27. We're probably playing in the postseason and right, and it's not so hard. So I mean, pass balls, right? You absolutely have to fix that. And then offensively, right? Offensively, we've got to fill the lineup space up with guys around Fisher, Furness, and Utermark, right? Guys that get on at a high clip. Your Luke Keels, right? You can't have a bunch of guys up and down the lineup that don't get on base or that strike out, because what happens is you have Fisher, Furness, and Utermark up there hitting a bunch of solo home runs, right?
That's what's going to help you there, though.
I feel like I'm saying just the most basic things that I don't even have a good take on what we need to do to fix it. But it seems so simple.
No. Okay, yeah, that's the thing. It's what I say all the time about baseball. It is the hardest, easiest sport there is. We can sit here. I can tell you exactly what Ole Miss needs to do to be successful next year. I mean, I can lay it all out 1 to 100 if you want me to. Going out and doing it is an entirely different animal, though. We all know what we need to do. It's about being able to do it, having the resources to do it. Luckily for Ole Miss, we're top half of the SEC. There's no point in talking about the country, because when you get to the country, you talk about the first 12, 13 teams in the SEC, and then you get the rest of the country after that. So we're top half of the SEC resources-wise. But this league is so damn hard, and it's not an excuse. Like, I'm not using that as an excuse. It is what it is. I love playing in the SEC, but you have to be really, really, really good. And if you're just really good instead of really, really good, then you're going to be fighting for your life the last 2 weeks of the season to try to get into a regional, because there are 12 other teams in this league that can beat you on any given weekend. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with, but that's the way it is. And then you bring Texas and Oklahoma in next year on top of that. It's only getting harder, guys. But again, that's life in the SEC. No sense in complaining about it. Go out there and get the job done. Bring in players. Do what you need to do to have a successful season.
That right there. The last thing that I want to say, kind of the, I guess if we were to doing segments on this show, this is the how do we fix it segment. How do we fix it segment? Transfer portal, right? We talked about it. It's great, but it can't just be the transfer portal.
No, you have to.
And I know that I know that you just said that we're a top half of the SEC in resources stuff, but taking that away, I don't know that Ole Miss is the destination for transfers to come in and play right now after 2 rough years like this, right? So I think that you still have to hit the recruiting trail. You have to go after these freshmen. And the one thing that Ole Miss has in its favor here is Mississippi used to be, I'm guessing it still is, Mississippi is rich in high school baseball.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, you've got
if I'm not mistaken, we have the #1 high school baseball player in the country. At the very least, I know he's mocked as the first high school player off the board. Now, that's not great because he is committed and signed to Ole Miss. He will not make it to campus.
But, I mean, even back when I played 25 years ago, right, I mean, it was rich with talent.
Always good.
And so well, it just goes to show you that even in the era of the transfer portal, you've still got freshmen coming in and making impacts. You've got Grahovic from Texas A&M, LeBron from Alabama, Dean Hurley from Tennessee. Right,
Man,
so there are still
so impressed with him.
Right,
yeah.
There's still kids, freshmen, making impacts. So I think it's a combination. Again, I'm saying the most basic shit. It's a combination of going out and hitting that transfer portal. I think you attack it differently than you did last year, maybe. I think you try to go get a guy. Go get a dude. Get one dude.
That's it.
One dude. Look, pitcher or hitter, I don't care. Go get one.
Last year, we had to spread our NIL budget out amongst 10 players or whatever it ended up being. You can focus on 3 this year and be completely fine, I think. But to your point,
I think you have to. Well, just last thing, and then you talk for the rest of the show. Probably, we have to protect our backyard, right? Get these kids to state of Mississippi. Braden Montgomery is from the state of Mississippi, and he went to Stanford, right? And then we lost out on him in second time at A&M, right? Keep these guys that are young and graduating high school. Let's get them on campus, and let's turn this thing around because 1 year was bad enough. 2 years is this can't happen a third year.
No, it cannot happen a third year. I just wanted to touch on you talking about 25 years ago when you played, Mississippi being so rich in baseball. That's what people don't understand about this part of the country, about this state. Yeah. We have 3 Division I baseball teams in this state, a very small state. Mississippi is not some big metropolis. I don't know if you've noticed that or not over your 40 years or whatever it is living here. But we have 3 legitimate Division I programs. 2 have won national titles, and Southern Miss may be the most consistent out of all 3 of them.
I was going to say, all 3 of them are perennial postseason teams.
Yeah. Not only postseason, but hosting on top of that too. All 3 of us have hosted multiple times. We love our baseball here in Mississippi. That's why it's just a little bit different than everywhere else.
You got to win the state.
Yeah, and it's a very, very competitive state. I mean, hell, you look and you've got Jackson Jobe knocking on the door with the Detroit Tigers that was out of high school, right? Signed with us. Thank God Austin Riley went to the Atlanta Braves, not only because I'm a Braves fan, because that fool was going to go to Mississippi State, and I didn't want to see no part of him playing in the maroon and white down there in Starkville. He would have been dropping bombs down there. So
go ahead.
Really rich state. No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Just really rich state. But
there's a kid from Ripley. Have you looked? There somebody commented. And
I saw that.
I'm very apologetic when it comes to high school athletics in the state of Mississippi. I know that we're very good, but when it comes to specifics, I don't watch a lot of high school baseball anymore. But there was a kid from Ripley who one of our listeners commented, saying that he was pretty good, through well in the state. I think I cannot think of Ty Long maybe. Asking why, he's right in the backyard. Yeah. Why haven't we looked at him? And I don't know. I wish I had that answer, for whoever asked that. But maybe if he looked that good, Ripley's probably 4, 5. They were 4A when I was in school, so probably 4. I mean,
I'm about to say they were 4A when I was.
That's your stomping grounds. Yeah, why don't you tell me? Tell me about Ripley.
No, they ain't my stomping grounds, damn it. I'm a Pontotoc man, but they were in our division.
And if he's that good, I hope we do give him a look, right? I mean, like you said, we need.
Yeah,
But
yeah, we do. But a lot of positive things to look for going into next year, though. Guys that need to be
so what
developed.
does success look like, right? You segued right into it.
Yeah,
What does success look like in
yeah.
2025?
Success looks like you go and get a Friday night guy out of the portal. You go get a couple of bats just to supplement your roster. I think I used this phrase a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure if it's something I put out on Twitter or when I was just randomly talking to somebody. The difference between this offseason for Ole Miss baseball and last offseason we had to build a roster through the transfer portal. This season we have to supplement a roster. We've got guys coming back. We've got legitimate SEC players coming back. So you can be more aggressive. You can shop in a different aisle than you were shopping in last year.
I like
You're not
that.
going with the great value brand. You're going for the Heinz ketchup this time, right? Or something like that. So you can go find two or three brand name items that you can probably go buy out of the portal and would make a huge, huge difference on this team with the people that we have supposedly coming back again. I'm not going to talk in certainties with anybody coming back in this day and
Yeah.
age, but I do like where we're at right now. So that's what
Yeah,
success
look,
looks like to me. If you ask me for expectations, and we're going to do this as we get closer to baseball season next year and we start ramping up to cover another season, um, I'm going to give you the exact same answer as last year. My expectation is to host a damn regional. I love Mike Bianco. We're about to get in that here in just a second. I love Mike Bianco. I think he is the greatest coach, probably regardless of sport, all time at Ole Miss. And yes, that includes John Vaught. Uh, he brought us a national championship in the modern era. He built the program
mhm.
from nothing. And for the last, you know, 24 years, we've been an elite program. Um, I'm glad he's back, but the standard here is not just to make postseason play; it's to host postseason play. I'll go ahead and get into it now with Bianco. He is coming back for a 25th year. Every single body listening to this knows that. Um, what I was really happy with was how fast it came out. You needed to get it done. You needed to get it announced. Not only to go ahead and put an eye to next year, transfer portal, recruiting, stuff like that, but also for your own roster. You had to give those guys some sort of security that the guy that brought them to Oxford is going to be here next year if they decide to come back as well. I'm glad he's back. Look, long story short, he deserved it. He deserves to come back for a 25th year. He's 2 years removed from a national championship. Unfortunately, the 2 years after the national championship have been the two worst years of his coaching career. I'm giving him a third year. Time to fix it, though. Next
Yeah.
year, you've got to get back to being an upper echelon SEC team and possibly host a regional, very least get back into postseason play. But my
Yeah.
expectation is to host, and it always will be.
Yeah.
And
I'm
and
I'm
and Mike
almost there.
Bianco made that expectation for fans, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure, I'm almost there. You know, when I look at success for 2025, the first thing that I went to look at was, did we have a losing record last year? I thought we did, but I couldn't remember. And so we did, and so that's two losing seasons
Yeah.
in a row. Luckily, those two losing seasons back to back. I think it may be the only two losing seasons for Mike
It is.
Bianco. Luckily, those are coming after that 22 national championship. So I guess if I'm setting expectations or what I think success looks like in 2025, very simply, it's a winning record.
Yeah.
I'm going to start small. Give me a winning record. You gotta see some statistical improvement in some of these categories.
Yeah.
But I think my big success, if we do this in 2025, I will consider that a success, and that is to make a regional. So I'm almost there with you. I will set a stretch goal for everybody in the corporate world that loves these buzzwords. I will set a stretch goal of hosting. Right. So I think we're successful if we make a regional. I think we're very successful if we host. Bianco, man, I don't know. I wish I had a feeling one way or the other on it. He absolutely deserves to be the coach almost as long as he wants to be on one side, right? The angel on my shoulder over here
Yeah.
says he's built this program from nothing, and he brought you a national championship. He should be the coach until he says I'm not. I don't want to be the coach anymore. The devil on this side of my shoulder says, man, he makes some bonehead moves and some things that I don't necessarily agree with, and
I mean,
I
that's
wish he
just
would get
a
some
view on.
help. I wish he would get some help in here, right? I don't know, 12, 13. I don't
Wow.
count them when I don't count them when I win them. I just count them when they win them, right? Whatever.
Okay.
Um, but you know, what I did like about it is he's gonna get some help, right? He said that I'm adding a coach. I read Chase this morning. I don't know when he wrote it, but it was an article, and it basically was saying, "Hey, Mike, it needs to be a pitching coach." I hope he does.
And I think that's the overwhelming thought is that this move is made to get specifically a pitching coach in place.
Yeah. Now, okay. So I will say this: I have said hashtag fire Mike a bunch of times between us, just because I like to over exaggerate and overreact to things.
You get emotional.
I've never truly been on the fire Mike train. I have purchased my ticket, and I'm standing there. I'm waiting in line to see how this next season goes. But you know, I'm kind of with you. I would say maybe I'm just veering off from you slightly, right? Like if you're with Mike, I'm here, but I tell you what, it is not going to take much next season for me to send you a message that says hashtag fire Bianco and mean it next year. So I hope he comes back, and I hope he does well. My question, as I just thought about this, because we were talking about pitching coaches, let's go get Huddy. What do you think?
What's what?
Let's go get Huddy.
Huddy? Is that who you want?
Yeah. Let's go get Tim Hudson,
Dude,
man.
shit.
I just thought about that.
That's who I want to. Yeah, he had like a 1-year stint at Auburn, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not
He's coaching
mistaken.
high school. He's coaching a high school team. Or maybe two, I think. Maybe like a prep school or a private school or something. But he's coaching high school. Yeah. Do you have any idea? I started to look, but a bunch of names. I didn't recognize a bunch of the names. I mean, do you?
Yeah.
If you could have your choice, who would you want? I thought maybe an old player, right? Like, could you bring in somebody that pitched years ago? Or
okay, so I think what's going to be the problem here is to get anybody worth their weight, you're going to have to give them a multi-year deal to come on, because I think there's an overwhelming thought, just like you, that if Mike doesn't get it done next year, he's gone. So is somebody going to step into a potential 1-year gig without having security in behind it? And is Keith Carter going to sign off on potentially signing somebody to a multi-year deal when you might be making changes next year if things don't go the way you want to, especially with the financials of college athletics the way they are right now, with the House decision coming down? You know, you're out $20-30 million a year or whatever it is with that settlement that was announced last week. So I think
one
that's
of these
days,
the
interesting part of it.
Not today, but one of these days you're going to have to explain all that to me. I saw Steven talking about it and how big of a deal it was, and I just thought, man, that's a lot of reading. Somebody's going to explain that to me.
Yeah, well, I mean,
go ahead.
Just the meat and potatoes of it. Basically, there's going to be $30 million a year, $30 million a year taken out of your athletic budget every single year for the next 10 years to pay off this house settlement.
Somebody
it's a lot of money. A lot of money. I mean, that's the crux of it right there. So, but again,
they could pay me half that, and I'd be a hell of a pitching coach.
You would, wouldn't you? Yeah.
I can call a game. I'll toot my own horn. I can call a game. I'll tell you that.
You'll be up there calling them knuckles and knuckle curves, and the pitcher's looking back like, God, I don't throw that.
Hey, you better figure it out. Yeah,
this is a
better
great
figure
spot.
it out. You better figure it out.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this up a little bit. Just a little bit of news. Like I said, this is going to be the okay. Go ahead, Hitch.
Before you get into that, I just wanted to just shout out. We had one SEC All SEC player this year, Andrew Fisher, right?
Oh yeah.
Just I mean, we had one award winner. That's the first year. I think I went back to 2016 before I found the next year we only had one. But hey, Andrew, we talked about it earlier, right? Hit right at 300 all year, 20 bombs. A great year, and absolutely was second team DH.
Second team DH, yeah.
I mean, absolutely deserved it, man. Good, Sir Fisher.
Yeah,
that boy.
Yeah. Yep. Great job, Andrew. But like I said at the top of the show, this is going to be the last iteration of Dids in the Dugout. Me and Hitch aren't going anywhere. We will be coming back with Ole Miss After Dark. That's what the show will be called from here forth. So y'all make sure when y'all see Ole Miss After Dark, that's going to be me and Hitch. Still going to be the same kind of content. We're going to work up different stuff throughout the summer. Try to see stuff that y'all are interested in, get a little more interaction with y'all, the listeners, the watchers, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We've got some things in the works for that, so keep an eye out for that. And when you see Ole Miss After Dark, come on back. It's going to be us too. We're really excited about this transition. It's going to be a lot of fun as we
Shirts
head into
optional.
a very do what?
Shirts optional.
Yeah. Steven hadn't signed off on that yet, but I just left him on red when he said, "No, dude, you got to wear a shirt." I just didn't respond. So I'm just going to act like I didn't see it. So yeah, might have some shirtless shows. So I'm sure that'll gain tens and tens of viewers.
Yeah, here we go.
So, all right, guys, I appreciate y'all being with us all throughout this baseball season. Me and Hitch had such a good time. Didn't go the way we wanted it to. But we had a blast watching all of these games, sitting down every week, twice a week. By the time this thing ended up ending, sitting down talking to y'all. So I appreciate every one of y'all tuning in to us all year long. Hitch, appreciate you coming on here every single week, twice a week with me.
What I'm here for.
So much fun. We look forward to doing it again for football, basketball, baseball. We're going to get you covered on all of the big three major sports on Ole Miss After Dark. So y'all tune into that.
You might even get some fun stuff. You might even get some fun stuff, not even Ole Miss or sports.
No, dude, you're gonna get some wrestling or something like that. Get some kind of music podcast or something. We're gonna go off the rails a little bit at some point. So it's as a matter of fact, if y'all want to see stuff like that, let us know. Comment, tweet at me. My Twitter handles there, little fat dids. Hitch is AO Hitch, or you can tweet the Dids in the Dugout account. I guess maybe we got to change that at some point, but we'll let y'all know about all that when that happens too. So again, really appreciate the support. Really appreciate how much we grew throughout the season. We were able to build an audience. You guys were awesome. Loved interacting with people on Twitter. Do what?
Shocked. I was shocked. Is the perfect word for me. When you told me when you said that, I was I thought it was just me and you here talking, hanging out.
Yeah, we had a couple people tuning in, so I appreciate all y'all. Appreciate Hitch, and like I said, we will be launching SEC After Dark or Ole Miss After Dark. We'll make an announcement on it. I'm sure me and Hitch will get something together for next week sometime, or maybe this weekend something. I mean, we still plan on doing this at least every week, so we really enjoy doing it. Hope y'all enjoy tuning in.
And we will get a consistent schedule of days that we're going to.
Yes.
Yeah, we've talked about this a couple of times. This week just kind of got away from us with the holiday and some other things, but it is important that you kind of know if it's going to be a Monday or Tuesday or whenever it is, and we'll hammer that out and get a good day that we can record and let you know on what day it'll be out.
Yeah, and also before we get out of here, walk-ons in Ridgeland, July the 2nd, 7 p.m. Steven with Locked On Ole Miss is holding a meet and greet. Me and Hitch will be down there with him. So hope to see a lot of y'all down there. Want to meet as many people as we can. Listeners of Steven's show and our show. It's going to be a lot of fun. And thanks to Steven for allowing us to do this show all year long on the SEC After Dark YouTube channel as well. So if y'all are able to make it July 2nd for the holidays, come on down to Walk-Ons at Ridgeland. I think it's at 7 o'clock that night. And we will be there to meet and talk to all of y'all, whoever wants to show up. So I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Meeting and greeting.
That's right. Just all you can handle. And beer drinking.
Ooh.
That's happening. That's happening.
I don't drink.
Okay. I will be beer drinking. Hitch will not be. So, all right, y'all. I appreciate this. This was a lot of fun. And we will talk to y'all very soon from a brand new setup. So, hope y'all like it. I appreciate it. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.